When we have inside of us that belief that nothing's ever good enough, we'll never measure up to anything, then we will always focus on what's missing. So let's say we can do 10 things, but we're going to notice the one thing we didn't do, and then we're going to generalize and feel crap about that one thing. Yeah. So that's what we do about ourselves. Like we might have 10 great strengths about us, but then we're going to have one weakness that we know that holds us back. And then we're going to generalize, focus on that one weakness. And then because of that one weakness, we're going to just generalize that we're shit, we're not good enough, we'll never get anywhere. And then we have this distorted view of ourselves. Yeah. Because if you think like reality would be, I think that's a healthy self-confidence would be that we're aware of our strengths and weaknesses.
Hello and welcome to Uncovered, the podcast with your host, Jason Irving. Join me in a journey to understand what's truly happening in your world and the world around you. This is not about how you're living life on the surface. It's about what's truly driving you from under the covers. I'm going to take you on a journey to deeply uncover the reason why you are here, the ultimate purpose in your problems, and the way that they have shaped your life up until now. See, I believe you have a purpose, and your problems are the highway towards ultimate realization of that journey towards freedom and the reconnection of your true self. I've been told to have a different spin on most things, and I'll be giving you my understanding of life, love, and what we're all here for, purpose. To get the best out of this podcast, drop what you already know so you can discover what's beyond you. So join me, let's play this game of life and bring on liberation, transformation, and change. Let's do this. Hey guys, welcome to Uncovered. I'm really excited. For the first time, I've got my beautiful wife, Anja, doing a podcast with me. We're going to be talking about imposter syndrome and how important this is for people. We've got two different angles. Anja and I quite often, we have two different ways of looking at things, and I'm really looking forward to exposing the way in which we both look at things with different angles. So Anja, welcome to Uncovered. I'm so happy that you're here.
Thank you, Jason. There we go. It took me a few years.
It took you a few years to convince you to jump on. So we want to talk about this thing called imposter syndrome from your angle, because yours is actually related to the true definition of imposter syndrome from what you would see in the meaning of it from the English dictionary. So we're looking at it from your angle today. So tell me about what you see, and I'm a great example of imposter syndrome. So you can call me out if you like. So tell me about what imposter syndrome is from your angle and what you see with the people that we work with.
Okay, so the way I see imposter syndrome is, so when people who through years have not internalized their successes or their achievements or their results, so they are still looking at themselves as unworthy, they can't do anything, they've done nothing. So they focus on what they could have and should have done better. So then this unworthiness or nothing's ever good enough is driving it. And therefore they don't believe that they deserve their results. They might want something, but they don't believe that they deserve it. So even when they achieve something or receive something, they feel like a fraud. They think that they're scared that they're going to lose it all, because obviously if you're not internalizing your successes, then it feels like someone's built the kingdom for you instead of knowing that, hey, I've built the kingdom, it's me. Then often they think that it's somewhere out there and it was a good luck, and therefore they're scared to lose it. Or like I said, they don't believe that they deserve it. Therefore, they self-sabotage to get the results often because of that. Because no matter how you want something, if you're scared that you don't deserve it or that you won't be able to keep it, then you would rather not have it, because it would hurt more than if you had it and lost it, than if you were just walking towards it. So I see that so often in people, and they are running this. They over-compromise and over-commit, and they think they need to earn. So instead of thinking, hey, it's enough to be me, it's enough to put the effort in, but then they over-commit, overdo, over hours, like that, like they need to earn it, and it still feels like they don't deserve it. Yeah. So then they sort of self-sabotage and procrastinate a lot with getting results, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And you've seen me do this, haven't you, hun? Like I for years, I sit there and you've constantly told me, Jason, you are so good at what you do, and you're so capable, and you can do this. And I've sat there with a slapped ass face and going, no, I can't, Anja. I'm not good enough. I've had so many amazing results, haven't I, in our business and changing people's lives and that sort of thing. And I'm really susceptible to this. So it's a real challenge, listeners, when you really can't accept your brilliance. And this is one of the things that I see a lot of people dealing with in life, is that I'm trying to get out of my own way and accept the brilliance that I have. And people have often said, you're just so unique and you're so capable. And I've really not taken enough of that feedback in. So quite often people like myself are searching for people to tell me what I'm doing wrong, and I buy into that.
So yeah, when we have inside of us that belief that nothing's ever good enough, we'll never measure up to anything, then we will always focus on what's missing. So let's say we can do 10 things, but we're going to notice the one thing we didn't do, and then we're going to generalize and feel crap about that one thing. Yeah. So that's what we do about ourselves. Like, we might have 10 great strengths about us, but then we're going to have one weakness that sort of we know that holds us back. And then we're going to generalize, focus on that one weakness. And then because of that one weakness, we're going to just generalize that we're shit, we're not good enough, we'll never get anywhere. And then we have this distorted view of ourselves. Yeah. Because if you think, like, reality would be, I think that's a healthy self-confidence would be that we're aware of our strengths and weaknesses. Yeah. It's like, one extreme is to be arrogant, which means dismiss any weaknesses and just sort of over exaggerate your abilities. But then healthy self-confidence is about, knowing your strengths and at the same time being aware of your weaknesses. So then you can actually grow and evolve instead of, arrogant people often don't grow because then they just think that everything's perfect with them. And again, obviously it's a story. It's not true. It's an act. Yeah. They want to run away from reality. And like, the imposter syndrome people often are so into that, like, I don't have enough, nothing that I do is good, because they're so focused on that one or few things that are missing, or they're more focused on the weaknesses than they are aware and claiming your strengths. And what I believe is, if you think, often we sort of brush it off, and we know sort of like we're good at some certain things, but until we're fully aware of our gifts and those strengths, what do they do? How do they serve us? What are they there for? We are not going to own them. Like, we're not going to claim them as much as if we were really familiar with them. Just like, if you have kitchen appliances in, let's say, and if you don't know what, like, you have a Thermomix, let's say we have it, and we don't use it that much. I know how to use it though. It's just, but there are people who I know they have something like that, and then they don't know how to use it. They don't use it. And because you don't know something, you won't use it. So it won't serve you. So I think that, really becoming self-aware and knowing yourself, and again, like, strengths and weaknesses can really help you then use that so that you can actually get the result, because all the strengths are there for a reason. Yeah, they help us meet our needs, they help us get results that we want to get. But if we dismiss them, and like I said, imposter people syndrome dismiss them a lot, they keep thinking, oh, what a good luck, like, I just got this happened to me, or I got something that I wanted, it must be good luck. They don't go into, I deserve this, because often I saw people think that if I would say I deserve this, or if they would say something positive and nice about themselves, that people will consider them arrogant. And they don't want to be arrogant, because arrogant people often are avoided, or people are not really wanting to connect deeply because they're unsafe. So I see so many people rather stay small for that reason. Yeah, it makes them feel more comfortable making it about others, giving to others, and then every now and then they'll be like happy to receive. But it's more like a rare thing.
Yeah, look, you've touched on something that I know that I've been nervous on, and maybe listeners, this could be an issue for you as well. You spoke about the people that can be arrogant, and I look at the imposter syndrome in another way, is the people who are actually imposters. right? So these are the people on Facebook that you don't know whether you can trust. There's smokes and mirrors. You find out that what they're sharing is actually not real. And I see this all the time. Like I've personally messaged people thinking that they're okay, they'd be a good fit for our academy, and they're actually an imposter sharing all this magical stuff, and they're actually none of those things. And they tell me, hey, this is broken, and this is broken, and this is broken, right? And I think one of the things, you tell me what you think about this, Anja, is that I've been always scared of being arrogant. I've been scared of being that person that is putting on this show without thinking that I actually have what I have behind. And I think when you're actually that person who doesn't have that self-value, I think maybe the biggest fear is actually being one of those, in quotes, dickheads that is on the show, putting on the big show. And you and I can see that a mile off, can't we? We can see people who are, not really what they say they are. They're putting on the Facebook show or the Instagram show, and behind closed doors, they're none of those things. And we've experienced lots of people like this. And I think the people who are really do have that magic, could there be a fear that what if they're portrayed as one of these people?
Yeah, for sure. And there is a very thin line between confidence and arrogance, and a lot of people don't know the line, so then they would rather avoid it full stop. Like, I can come across arrogant for people because I'm confident, and with the way what I wear, how I dress, like how I sort of like show up in the world. And someone who is, let's say, not so confident and not so comfortable with what I do could say that I'm arrogant. Like, how dare she, like, like show up like that and you be confident and opinionated and all that. So, and so people who are not are often going to confuse it with, oh, wow, that person must be arrogant. Like, if you think it's so okay and it's allowed to be negative about yourself, and like that tall poppy syndrome that the Australians have here. It's like, you can be little, you can be small, like, but as soon as if you were to say, can you imagine, like, making a statement like, I think I'm beautiful, I'm successful, people will get triggered, like, like it's like, it's not something that would be like, it would be considered as an arrogant statement to say to someone, hey, I feel beautiful, I feel successful. Like, people would get triggered by that, because straight away it comes the comparison. Well, if someone who heard you say that is not feeling that way, then you must be arrogant to fucking think like that. So a lot of the people would never dare to say something. So then I think we just sort of stay in that, let me find some fault and mistakes in me, so then I'm not going to be one of those triggering people, feeling good about myself. Yeah, because a lot of the times people don't feel good, and the arrogant people go into the extreme. I'll tell you what I believe. So deep down, I believe that we all feel unworthy. I've never met a person who wouldn't have a not good enough or unworthiness sitting in them. I just see that there's people who then act in two different ways. So there's people who go and act like they're less of a human, like they actually act like how they feel. Or even worse, like, I'm totally unworthy, like lack boundaries. They don't want to accept anything. They just want to give, and they become the over givers. And then on the other side, we have the arrogant people who I believe are just as much unworthy on the inside, but they want to hide how they're truly feeling through trying to convince others. So they have a lot of things to prove and defend. So they would want others to see them as perfect, because if others, it's external validation. Yeah. If others see them as perfect, then they are going to feel that they might be it. Yeah. So they're acting what they want, but they're not really feeling that way. Yeah. And then arrogant people thrive on people putting them on a pedestal and admiring them. They want attention, and they don't want vulnerability, because vulnerability would show that they are just humans, they're imperfect. Yeah. And because of the way they act, and they act like they're better and they're perfect, they often trigger the other side people who are feeling so and acting unworthy, because they make you feel like they're more than you, but they're not. No one is. And the problem is, and I'll tell you, I used to pretend and be more arrogant, because I was trying to hide, and I thought that I'm never going to be accepted for everything that I am. So I was doing it. I was arrogant, like I turned that into confidence. I can say, and I hope that, the people who know me actually the most could say now that, I don't think I am arrogant anymore, because arrogance at that time, it was like, if others think I'm perfect, or if others wouldn't see any imperfections, then I'm lovable and acceptable and okay. But the problem was, it's if someone saw any imperfections, then it's like it's that fear, like you don't want anyone to see that. So I do understand people on that side, because it's too scary to open up. So I always look at people with arrogance now, with the compassion, knowing that they're hiding something. They just don't feel that they're good enough, and they won't convince everyone that they are. The thing is, though, when someone puts you on a pedestal, and arrogant people want to be put on a pedestal, like because of the pain that the other person who puts someone on a pedestal will have because of the comparison, people will eventually want to dethrone you, and because that pain is too big of the comparison. So it's now I know, like, it's not worth it. Like, I would these days never ever want anyone to have me on a pedestal anymore. I've got my shit. I'm working on my stuff. Like, I'm no different to anyone else for that reason, because I know it's bullshit. Like, like we're all just different. No one's better. No one's worse. We're just different. But on the other side, we are so similar. We all have similar problems and patterns and stuff. So like once you're on a pedestal, you're scared someone's going to get you off, because you love and thrive off someone admiring you. It gives you that power and the thrill and stuff, but it's not real. So now looking at it, turning the arrogance to confidence, it's just more real. And and also I look at it, the difference now, confident person's going to pump other people's tires up. They're going to be kind and humble, and they're going to want others to succeed, and they're going to want others to see how great they are as well. An arrogant person will not do that. Arrogant people don't give compliments to others. They want it to be about them, and they because they like to feel that they're better and they're up on the top.
I think an arrogant person will do the pumping up to the top if it's going to serve them.
That manipulation, of course.
That's very, very different. So what you're talking about here, Anja, is really, really important, because look, one thing I've learned, I've been put on the pedestal many, many times, and people have, every time someone has done this to me and just waved their hands in front of me and done the bow, for listeners who are listening to this, I just did a bow on the video. I've experienced people just throw me off and chew me up and spit me out, because in your deep subconscious, when you put someone up there, you are looking at trying to figure out how to get them off as soon as you humanly possibly can. And this is what imposter syndrome does. Imposter syndrome, when you're not feeling able to, contain and connect and understand your magic, you're actually looking at other people really negatively as well, because you can't cope with your own negativity. So you're going to constantly put people down in a lower viewpoint. And this is really important, listeners, that I've done this many, many times when I had this imposter syndrome going in a really difficult way. And I'm one of those people who also sees the tough stuff in people, right? Where people are stuck. And that's my greatest set of magic, but it also comes at a deficit, because I also see the first thing I will do is I'll put myself down well before someone else can put me down. So I'm already there, right? And that's a real challenge, isn't it, love? Because we've got to learn to get this in a really striking balance, and it's really hard to get that feeling confident. I remember one day, this lady who I asked her one day, this is about 2009, 2008, what do you think of me? And she said, I was arrogant, and I was jumping out of my skin saying, oh my God, this is the best thing in the world, because I'd never been called arrogant before. And I thought I'd made it to the world of confidence for the first time in my life. I was just like, oh my God, I got called arrogant. It was actually when you were here. So it must have been maybe 2012, somewhere around there. And it was just such a great moment for me, because people who know me know I'm not an arrogant person at all. And for someone to call me arrogant makes me really, really happy now, because I know that I'm breaching that barrier between the imposter and the confident person.
And it is, look, for people who are not what you are, you're going to be too much already. So then they can totally, like I said, like, it's not always very obvious for people. Like I said, confidence can be confused with arrogance. But the way, like I said, I see it is that if someone is kind and considerate and pumping other people's tires, which means a confident person will lift themselves up together with others. and an arrogant person who's going to put others down and put themselves up. Yeah, so that's the difference. So they would not be kind and considerate and or reachable either, but a confident person will be reachable, and people will be able to connect and feel good when they're in their company. Yeah? It's like it makes you feel like that some of that confidence spills onto others, because like you show others that everything's possible for everyone. An arrogant person wants others to believe that they're special and different, and no one can be there because it makes them feel better than if everyone was as special.
Yeah, and look, this is a really important thing around this, listeners, is that I got this really cool post from a lady, Jenna. She just sent me a message this morning, and I know that this is a message that she loves about me, that the true leaders, they create leaders. They don't create followers, right? That's the truth of a true leader. And both Anja and I are focusing on building confidence within people to help them become great leaders. Now, the arrogant person, the one who really wants to have everyone look up to them, they're looking for followers. So this is like the guru. The guru is looking for followers. And the last thing Anja and I want is a bunch of followers, because I don't want anyone losing their keys and not being able to find stuff. Like, I have troubles, I have my faults, and I have my issues that I have. And I think when we create this level of confidence within us, we become competent, we become capable, and we become able to help others lead by true leadership. And I think this is what's been missing in the world these days. We can have influencers that are influencing people, and everyone is just waiting for their words to come out so then they can do the next thing. And that's not healthy. Would you agree, love?
Yeah. Look, it's quite tricky, like, to expose. And this is my, let's say, battle, how that I've been really battling, and I'm still not like over the board with the exposure, and it comes from, and I spoke to so many people and had sessions with people who feel and fear the same thing. Is like, so if you are to expose into a leadership more and, influence obviously people through, what you say and what your sort of a mission is, people will sort of again, they can start admiring you, and then they're going to put you on a pedestal. And if they put you on a pedestal, eventually, like I said, that pain of comparing yourself to the person you put on a pedestal is going to want to make you dethrone them and find faults in them, and then decide that they're all crap and you don't want to have anything to do with them. So it's really important to know that, people who are helping other people are not perfect. No one is perfect, and we shouldn't be perfect. We should be actually knowing that we're on this journey together and we can help each other. And someone's going to, I believe that we know a lot more than we know how to live that what we know. And that's the true wisdom. And a wise person uses knowledge that they have, because it's easy to read books and go and do courses and stuff. So, but how much you can use that and implement and live is actually how many results you're going to have. And often I think leaders are expected to be perfect, because people would think, oh, well, if I'm not perfect, who am I to help someone? Why would someone listen to me? And it's bullshit. Like, I don't know, I have not met anyone who I would know they're perfect and they're already there. It might seem like they're a bit further than others, but still, we're humans. We all have stuff that we're working on. And I believe that, that's why we're here. We come to work on our stuff. And if we didn't have anything to do, we would be enlightened and we wouldn't come back anymore. So my suggestion is, guys, if you look up to someone and you really admire someone, you have to own that. Like, it's like what you see in others is a reflection of you, and the things that you think they're not yours, that it's in others, it's just something you disowned and you are not connected to. And you need to learn to recognize brilliance in others and own it. And it doesn't mean that you never give out compliments. At the same time, you need to know that if you see someone's beautiful or someone's strong or whatever, that must be in you. So then you don't put someone on a pedestal. Learn from them. What do they do? How do they use that gift? What am I doing different to them? So then you can learn from that person instead of admire them and think that as you're connected and listening to them, that you're going to get something from that energy that you feel. So otherwise, again, we're just going to search for some mistakes in someone, because it's going to hurt too much thinking that how perfect someone is, and we're so far away. Yeah, perfection is illusion.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I think listeners, you got to be in this space where you're going to be prepared to do something really, really important. Remember when I started the academy and I started being really vulnerable in front of everyone, and you said, you can't do that, Jason. It was like everyone was going to leave. That was a big fear that you had because you were always worried about what people would think of you. And I said, I can't lead any other way than autonomy and honesty. And so I started sharing my own problems, and people didn't leave, did they?
No, that's what I realized. And that's what I've learned from you, is that when you are vulnerable and open up and you actually show others, because the others will still feel great about you and, like connecting with you. At the same time, they're going to see you as you're the same as them. And if you're the same as them and you have problems and you are still, let's say you have some better results that they don't have yet or they want, then it gives them hope that they can do it too. And that's what I had since I've opened up more about my stuff. I had people who say, wow, oh my God, like it really gives me hope. Like if you have grown so much and if you come from there to here, it gives me hope that I can too. But if you were to pretend that you are something and it's like it's going to look like you always were perfect, then there's this division and the people can't actually learn and grow so much from you, because I believe that we can take the most from something that's alike, or we feel the same, or we feel some sort of a connection. And if it's a division and someone's on a pedestal and you're down there somewhere, there isn't any connection. There's this just painful sort of a exchange of someone admiring someone and someone getting the power from being admired. So I think that don't ever do that to yourself or to others. It's just not worth it. And it is scary at the same time. That what I believe these days is that if someone expects me to be perfect and in order for them to listen to anything I've got to say, that they're just not my people. Then there are those who want to pretend that we're something we're not. And I guess we want to work with people who want to be real and want to see real us, and instead of hearing some bullshit, because we could easily go, oh yeah, we're perfect, we know everything, we've got no problems. But it's just not our way, I guess.
Exactly. And that's what inner wealth is all about, guys, is that the more that you focus on that wealth on the inside of you, you have to break open, and sometimes you have to actually listen to someone else's belief in you and what you've got rather than what's going on in your head, and be vulnerable with the limitations. So what we do that's really, really different is that we share a vulnerable based way of approaching, and you don't lose anything from it. You actually get more gains, and more people actually get to see you as more real, and you get to actually create this no division. And it's really interesting because I'm talking about this to quite a few people at the moment about writing a book. Now, a lot of people will want to write a book when they're at the other side of the breakthrough, right? So I've had these problems, I did some stuff, and here's the solution. That's like the 3-phase story of a normal story that we see in the movies, isn't it? We have this desire, shit hits the fan, and then we blow the fan off and all the shit disappears and everything is great, right? Now, that's in all the stories, but what really happens, listeners, is this. You're in the middle all the time trying to grow. And it's in the middle part is where all the growth is, not at the other side of the breakthrough. It's when you're having your struggles and all of these things that we need to actually reach, because this is where we're all at. No matter how successful you are in business, you are going to have a situation where your growth feels like it's really stretchy, and you're going to feel like an imposter because you haven't gotten to where you're trying to get to. And that's where imposter comes from. We've got this gap between where you are and where you want to be. And so we go into the loops. We go into the, I'm not good enough. So when I was a healer, I was bored, pretty much. It was too easy. So I did something to stretch me, and I went straight to what I did when I started as a healer. I'm not good enough. No one's going to want me. No one's going to want this. Really, really normal part of the human condition, isn't it, Anja?
Yeah. And look, I even know people, let's say, who have a lot of money and success and results and still feel like imposter. So they don't have much more from whatever they achieved than scared or being scared to lose it. So they got attached to it, And again, only if you feel like imposter, you're going to be scared to lose something. Because if you truly own who you are and your strengths and gifts, why would you be scared to lose anything? Like, no one can ever take anything away from you once you know that you were the one who created those results. Yeah, because we don't just, if you think, either we're responsible, accountable, and know that we are creating our life and reality, or we think that, oh, it just happened to us. And it's a scary place to be if you think that things just happened instead of, hey, I had something to do with it. Because once you know that you've created something and you've contributed to it, you're amazing. Why would you be scared to lose it? Like, you can rebuild it, and you can rebuild an even more amazing kingdom. So so important to really start looking at who are you, what do you do, what are your strengths and gifts, and again, you don't think you're going to go to arrogance if you're going to own it. Yeah, again, arrogance would be if you were to convince others how much better you are than them, but that like, you need to use comparison in a healthy, sustainable, functional way. Yeah. So and I know that really well. Like this, I used to, and look, when I say certain things that I can say, oh, I do this now, I believe that we have this limited part of us, and then we have this true extraordinary part of us. Yeah. And even though these days I feel, let's say, way more confident and way better than I used to, then I have some times and days when I go down and their voice comes back, and again, it's like, it feels like it's all lost. So I want you to just know that it's not something that, again, once you're over the board, like that, you stay there. Sometimes we still have those ups and downs, and we can go back and think, oh my God, I've done no work, I still feel the same. But I don't know where I was going with this, but yeah, I hope this makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And look, it's just knowing that where you're gonna go, it's going to be a constant flow. You're going to get somewhere, you're going to stabilize, and then all of a sudden you're going to flip up and flip upside down, and you're going to feel the same way as you've felt. And quite often it feels like this, doesn't it, Anja? It feels like a backward step. And it feels like you're right back at the beginning. You're actually not, listeners. Where you are is you've had a whole lot of experience, and you're spiraling through to a next phase of your growth. And that next phase goes through and puts these undercurrents under the surface. And then we've got to work with those undercurrents in a new phase. And then we spiral out again, we improve, and then we go through that same system again. And it's really, really normal part of the human condition.
Yeah, so it's like those old voices, those echoes come back, and you know how, oh, you're crap, you're ugly, you're this, you're that, you're a loser, you're like, you'll never get anywhere. It's like they come back, and then usually it's like, I see as like, either we can listen to that voice, the limited voice, that whatever the ego is telling us what we're not, or we can listen to our awareness that tells us what we are. Yeah. And that's what I think. Sometimes I see people being confused by it, because it feels like, oh, I've done some work, I'm feeling better. And then suddenly that voice can come back. And it's all about, when I say, oh, I'm confident, let's say, I still have times when I hear those echoes and the voices. It's just not allowing yourself to buy into them. Just like, people who are brave and courageous, it's not like they don't have any fear. They don't have the voices in their head. Of course they do. We all have the fear come up and the voices. Courageous or a brave person is just not going to buy into them and get stopped by it. They will take the action despite, no matter what. And that's what when I think, oh, I have the voices sometimes too, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this, or I can't, or I'm not this. But my awareness, because when you work on yourself, just what happens is the awareness gets bigger, and then the voice that you listen to, it's a choice. Because before the awareness, you have no choice, that you're going to listen to that crappy voice that's going to tell you how shit you are, how no good you are, how ugly you are, how stupid you are, how not good enough you are. So the voices will still be there. But then if you grow the awareness, you're going to listen to the awareness, who will tell you the nice things that are going to allow you to stay who you are without shutting down all the time. Yeah. Yeah,
exactly. And look, when I think about my own personal journey, listeners, it's like coming from a person who was shit at school, didn't feel good, got a degree, didn't feel good about that either, turned into an IT programmer, didn't feel good about that. One day happened, I realized I was smart. I was in a meeting in Canada telling all of these old people what we were going to do. And I was the young buck 26 years old in a group of 40-year-olds, and they were listening to me. And I just realized, I remember the time I used to go beetroot red and couldn't cope, with being in groups of people, and I realized that was the day I was smart, and that was the day I changed the way in which I wanted to live my life. And I went into the healer guy and the therapist guy, went straight, flipped it. Oh, I'm no good again. And then I went boom, leveled myself out, got myself into the shape as a therapist, went up, this is enough, flipped it up on its head again, created the academy. It's on its way this way again now, still flipping between the two at the moment, to be honest, up and down, and then knowing that I'll be able to step it the way I am because I've got a history and a proven track record of success. And it all comes down to one thing. You listen to the voices in your head, doesn't really matter whether they're confident or lack of confidence. It's how you walk with your legs that create the change. And so what we've got to learn to be able to do is create that balance of that imposter syndrome, arrogance or non-arrogance, and too much humility, and get that stuff. What we need to do is sitting right in the center so we can create a good sense of who we are on the inside. Would you agree?
Yeah, I love that. That's so true. And I definitely. So yeah, it's the way you look at yourself and what you believe about yourself is going to be exactly projected on the outer world, what you're going to experience. So I believe that we can never possibly go beyond what we believe, what we are. So like, once you accept it, hey, I am smart, then you allowed yourself to act it out and have an experience of a smart person. But if you believe you're not good enough and you don't deserve anything, you will act it out. Like we act out what we feel on the inside. So that's why I believe that our life is nothing but a reflection of what we believe it's possible for us. And everything that we are experiencing or what we have or the lack of results is just a reflection of what we believe, who we are and what's possible. So knowing how you think and feel about yourself, what are those beliefs, is so important. So you'll be able to own and be aware why you keep attracting the situations or why certain things are not reachable. It's because if you don't believe something, it's never going to happen. Like our belief in something, it's what our truth is, and that builds a bridge for the experience. We cannot possibly go beyond that.
100%. And look, what you've got to learn around this, guys, is wherever you are in your life, listeners, wherever you are, if you're in that place where you've not chosen to step over that line, we can help. We can help you step over that line. If you've stepped over that line, you're still feeling like an imposter and you're really successful, we can help you too, right? Because the most important thing that you've got to learn is that underwhelming part of you is going to be there. You need to have that awareness. And this is what we do with the work that we do. Both Anja and I, we help leverage and build you to that level of awareness so you can create the life that you do want to lead without leaving anything to chance. Because the last thing Anja and I want to leave is we didn't give it a shot on our tombstone, right? We don't want to leave anything to chance thinking we didn't give it a try. And if you're in that place where you're not happy and you're not doing what you want, come and jump in and hang out with us. I would love it, listeners, if you really like this podcast, if you could like and share this podcast, because this will help maybe someone who's feeling like they've got the imposter syndrome running, and we can help you build that self-esteem, because that's what we're here to build, is that self-esteem, that undercurrent to get you moving in the direction you want so you can have the life that you want to lead. So Anja, thank you for jumping on Uncovered for the first time. I'm looking forward to sharing some more magic with you, and I'm going to be opening up Anja up in a podcast on her own, just to get a little bit of an understanding about one ingredient that Anja owns that I would love everyone to experience, which is power. Anja owns it in oodles, and so I'm looking forward for you guys to listen to this podcast about, and I'm going to put Anja in the hot seat about what she is and how her power creates an absolute gift in the people that she serves. So thanks Anja for jumping on with me today. That's
okay. Thank you, Jace, and would love to, you guys can comment and share your thoughts and insights onto what we were speaking about. So there's no right and wrong. It just we all have our own insights into what is happening and what someone said, and would love to hear some feedback. So thanks.
thanks so much for listening to our podcast. We really appreciate you, and we really appreciate your time, because time is so valuable. What we'd love you guys to do, if you like this podcast, if you could share it with your friends, and also our website address for the podcast is www.wellnessbreakthroughacademypodcast.com. Our website is www.wellnessbreakthroughacademy.com. We have a free Facebook group called Wellness Leadership Evolution, so search for that. I'd love it if you could add me as a friend on Facebook. I don't bite, so add me as a friend. And if you want some help and you would really like some support from us in the Academy, jump in. We have a process. You can do a break-in call to connect in with us. We do small courses. We have lots of things that we share. So we'd love the opportunity to give you a chance to change your life and turn it into a free one. You are one transformation away from change. Come and catch up.